I've been thinking about the problem with watch reviews. This is going to be a different kind of video. I feel like it's some things I need to get off my chest. And what are they? Let's talk about them. So, watch reviews. They're an interesting thing. And I feel like one of the biggest issues is any watch, any modern watch that is somewhat worth the money will hit certain standards, will have certain things which will mean it's not objectively a bad watch. If you spend, say, in this instance, £1,000 on a watch, whatever brand that's from, you would expect one of a number of things. You'd expect a decent, solid build quality. You'd expect, if it were a sports watch, you'd expect a minimum of 100 meters water resistance, ideally. You'd expect sapphire glass. All of these things, you'd expect it to be comfortable with some form of micro adjust. And I feel like when it comes to watch reviewing, it is deeply, deeply personal. I don't feel like there's much of a difference between a news video where we're talking about the spec sheet and what we think of the look of the watch from press images, and a hands-on review where, again, we talk through the spec sheet and the look of it, but this time on the wrist and maybe the comfort. The difference is my input, my opinion on whether I like it in person or not. That's it. There's very few watches that are objectively bad or have a glaring issue. Talking about watch reviews as well, is every single one will have an element of bias. They just will. It's a human thing. It's a human issue. And by the way, none of what I'm saying is specific for the watch industry. But the bias in a review will come from several different things when it comes to the watch reviewer. It might come down to that reviewer's, especially if they're an independent reviewer like us, and I'm going to be fully transparent about this, it'll come down to their relationship with the company or with that member of the watch company's PR team. It simply will. For example, take Christopher Ward. They have never once asked us to say anything in particular. They will send us a watch or a PR packet, and essentially the implied thing is go nuts, say what you want. Be negative. They've never once asked to see a video before it was released, unlike Charlie Paris. They haven't done anything like that. But I'll tell you what they have done. They have been consistently brilliant to work with. They have been consistently friendly, and they've also been consistent at providing us with review samples and at providing press releases. And now that we've established that relationship, and I've put this on our community page, but this is getting it out there in public, they gave me and Terry each a watch, a titanium 12. Not to make a video on, although we likely will, but just because of that relationship that we've built up. They've never paid us, they've never done anything like that, but that's what they did. And that can lead to biases, especially if you guys are unaware of those biases and they're undisclosed. Another way that biases can creep into watch reviews is preconceived biases. Preconceived notions of a watch brand or preconceived notions of a specific product. It'll mean that the result of a review you might not agree with, and that does lessen the review's value in the eyes of the consumer. It simply does. Another thing that can shape a watch review is unethical practices on the part of the watch reviewer. There's been a few talks of this recently within this watch landscape that we are now part of, and one thing is brands providing free watches or brands paying for reviews. Now, if a brand wants to give a watch for free, I think that's okay. For a reviewer to receive it, as long as they make it clear they will not purposely let it colour the information or perceptions that they are given or that they give their audience. But I do think it's a bit weird and a bit wrong of reviewers to go out there and say, in exchange for this review, I want to keep the watch. I would have an issue with that, doing that in my head. Don't ask me why, it just seems a bit sketchy. But if a brand wants to offer, I see that as less questionable. What is questionable, people who take money for a review, to actually do what is meant to be an impartial review, offering what is meant to be consumer advice, even though the point of this video is that it's an incredibly personal thing and can't really be used as consumer advice. But these videos are meant to be consumer advice, and you're taking money from the brand to tell people whether they should buy your product or not.
And what's even worse, which does happen as we know, is creators reaching out to the brand first, asking them for money or a free watch.
Yeah, there's creators that reach out asking for money for reviews, to do a review, or asking for a free watch. There are some, and I know of the names of a few, but this isn't an attack on anyone specifically or anything like that. But what I do think is taking money in exchange for a review that's meant to be impartial consumer advice is wrong. Now, there's a way around that. What you can do is a product showcase. Now, a showcase would differ from a review, and you see this a lot in tech YouTube channels, which I think is the way that the watch space needs to go. Is a product showcase is more of a paid ad by the influencer, by the watch reviewer, to take a look at the watch, but it's not intended as consumer advice. They might give a few opinions here and there, but it's not intended as consumer advice. If you're making a review and it says review and you're taking money from the brand in exchange for that, that's wrong.
That's a paid sponsorship.
Yeah, that's a paid sponsorship, and that is objectively and morally wrong. It might not be illegal or anything like that, as long as you do the proper disclosure, but it's wrong. So we've gone through a few things there. Possible unethical practices, different types of biases that can be present in watch reviews, whatever they are, whether they're personal or external, and inherent pointlessness of a watch review because of how personal it is. The last thing I do sort of want to touch on though is some brands don't act in good faith. Some of them will provide limited or incorrect information in the run up to a release and all of these things, which colours the watch reviewer, and I had this very recently, in a poor light because they don't have the full information to provide their audience or anything like that. It's very problematic, and it limits the ability of that member of the press, so to speak, the watch press or whatever. It limits their ability to inform you guys. And we had that with this, the Charlie Paris Evo 3, whatever it's called. They didn't provide us all the information, and they provided us a full press pack. And this is a call out. I mentioned it in the review at the time, but this is a call out. They provided us a full press pack of information. They didn't provide us a lot of the pertinent information. And now I'm scared of working with brands. They will send us information that is either wrong or missing major pieces of information. So that will, from this point on, change the way in which we operate with brands, because we've learned our lesson. This brand has proved we can't trust them, so what watch brands can we trust? Some of them have earned our trust, yes, but when it comes to working with a new watch brand, who can we trust going forwards? The point is, guys, our videos are for entertainment. I've always tried to make that clear. This video hasn't been very entertaining. It's been a ramble. It's been a stream of consciousness. I haven't written anything down. I've just sat here, mind vomited at you. But what I want to make clear is a watch review. Never take it personally. Even if you love the watch they're talking about and they don't like it so much, because watches are such personal things. The vast majority will meet very specific standards, and it'll even be a personal thing about whether it's worth the money or not. Essentially, just keep watching watch reviews until you find someone that agrees with your point of view and justifies the purchase that you want to make. If you get 100 watch reviewers to review what you think is the most perfect watch, people are going to pick out issues. Just like this, the Bell & Ross BR X5. We've got our review coming on it very, very soon. It's got a couple positive points, but guys, it's got a whole lot of negative points as well. I found it slightly genuinely unwearable, and that might just be a personal thing to me. It might be because of the size of my wrists or something like that. Yeah, stick around to watch that review. That's the issue, in my opinion, with watch reviews. What do you think the issue with them is? And do you agree with me? Go down in the comments, let us know. Whilst you're down there, why not like, subscribe, ding that bell icon so you never miss another video, and why not click that join button, support the channel directly, would be amazing. But otherwise, you know what I'm going to say next. Watch yourselves.